If you're like me, the longer you work, the more color swatches you end up with. And then after a while, you just can't find any of the colors you're looking for. Fortunately, you can organize your colors into groups or folders. I call them folders, but Adobe calls them groups. They're the same thing. To make a group, open your Swatches panel and then click on this button down here, the New Color Group button. What happens next depends on what's currently selected in the Swatches panel. Here, because the None swatch was currently selected, I got a color group with nothing in it. It's just a folder. Here, let me make this panel longer so you can see what's going on. Just a folder, nothing in it. Also, it's called Color Group 1, which isn't entirely useful. So let me undo that by pressing Command-Z or Control-Z on Windows. Instead, if I hold down the Option or the Alt key when I click that button, then InDesign is going to ask me, what do I want to name my color group? So that's one step better, but I'm going to cancel that. Instead, if I select one or more colors in the Swatches panel first, InDesign will put those swatches into my color group. But first, I need to make sure nothing is selected on my page, because if something were selected, I might accidentally apply the color swatch to that object. So I'm going to press Command-Shift-A on the Mac or Control-Shift-A on Windows, and that deselects everything. Now I'm going to select one or more colors in the Swatches panel. I can select more than one by clicking on the first and then holding down the Command key on the Mac or Control on Windows, and then select the other ones. See, that lets me select a bunch of swatches, even if they're not next to each other. When I have the colors that I want in my group, I can switch to the Option or the Alt key on my keyboard and then click the New Color Group button down at the bottom of the Swatches panel. InDesign asks me what I want to call it, and I'm going to call it Pretty Colors. You can call it anything you want, of course, and then click OK. And there you go. InDesign moved those swatches into my new color folder. Now, there's one other way to make a color group, and this time I'm going to select some objects on my page. In fact, I'll just select this background object here. It's actually one object with a bunch of objects nested inside of it. You can't actually see that it's selected, but it is. I clicked on it. And now that that object is selected on my page, I'm going to go up to the Swatches panel menu, and I'm going to choose New Color Group. That's the same thing as holding down the Option or Alt key and clicking on the button. Up comes the dialog box, and it lets me name my color group, but I get one more option here. I get the option to choose the colors from the selected swatches, that is, any colors that were selected in the Swatches panel, or the selected page items. In other words, whatever fill colors or stroke colors have been applied to the objects on the page that I have selected, those will be placed inside my new color group. I'll click OK. You can see I've got a new color group down here. I forgot to rename it, but you'll forgive that. And now you'll see that I have 4 colors placed in here. Now you'll see here that this is called Black Copy. Actually, all 4 of those colors have the word copy in them. And if I make this wider, just by hovering over the left edge and then dragging to the left a little bit, you'll see that all of these are copies. The reason is that you cannot have more than one swatch with the same name in the same document. They all have to be unique names throughout the document, even if they're in different groups. And when you make a new color group based on objects on your page, it doesn't actually move those colors into the color group, it copies them in. So these colors are all copies inside that new color group. Now, of course, once you have one or more groups inside your swatches panel, you can drag swatches in and out of them, just like you'd expect. But once again, before you start dragging colors around, make sure nothing is selected on your page, or you'll apply that color to the objects. So I'm going to press Command-Shift-A or Control-Shift-A on Windows, deselects everything, and now I can actually move these color swatches in and out. You can see I can just click and drag, and they move from one group to the next. If you later decide that you don't want the colors in a folder anymore, you can click on the group name. I'll just click on this group name here, then go to the Swatches panel menu and choose Ungroup Color Group. That takes the swatches out of that color group and it deletes the group. There's one more thing I should tell you about. When you make a new color swatch, for example, I'll go up to the panel menu and choose New Color Swatch, then I'll just pick a different color here and click OK. When you make that new color swatch, it always adds it into the same color group as whatever was selected when you made the color swatch. So for example, there was a yellow color selected here, and when I made the new color, it added my green color to the same color group. Once you get used to them, color groups are great whenever you have a lot of colors that you're trying to manage.